to Bite-Sized Stories. Today, we meet Jason Peckham. Jason Peckham hated Thursdays. Most people, he realized, hated Mondays. But for him, the weekend disaster always began brewing in his mind on Thursday. What would he do without her? How would he while away his time? Perhaps he would go for a bike ride, or to the farmer's market, or scuba diving, or parasailing, or he might just leap off a building. More likely, he would stay in bed until at least noon, stumble to the kitchen for a round of margarine-smeared toast, and then head to the couch for an afternoon of mindless television watching, brought to him by Budweiser, Nabisco, and the Nature Channel. He knew she wouldn't want him to be this way. He knew she would want him to move on with his life, to meet someone, climb mountains, travel, have friends, he supposed. Instead, here he was, depressed, alone, and desperately underwater on his mortgage. The medical payments had drained the little savings he and Beth had accrued over their 4 years of marriage. The sale of their second car had provided a small amount of cash. Their parents and the life insurance had paid for the rest. None of these had been enough to save her. No amount of money could have prevented the accident or kept her alive. The accident had occurred on a Thursday, as all awful things do. Jason had been away that day preparing for a marathon. It was his long run day, and he'd gotten up to about 18 miles when the phone rang. If he hadn't been in the mountains, he might have made it to the hospital in time. Not in time to save her. He knew that. Everyone kept telling him that. But in time to speak to her, to let her know that he was there. Instead, he got there after the doctors had forced her into a coma that she wouldn't wake up from. He didn't blame the doctors. He blamed that jackass with a Ford F-150 wherever the hell he was. He also blamed himself. He should have driven her. She hated driving, but she loved life. He knew now that he had to move on. This weekend he would make plans, and he would attack the inevitable. He would advertise for roommates. There was no other solution to the problem with the house, and there was plenty of space for others to occupy as long as they respected her things and took out the trash. He would advertise for people his age. That would be easier, he believed. No students and no elderly people. Elderly people might break the taking out the trash rule, and no drug takers. Of course, he wondered how he might know if people were taking drugs, as most of them were lying bastards, so they might mislead him anyway, but never mind, he would still put it in the ad, which went like this. Wanted. Roommates aged 25 to 30 who are gainfully employed. No smokers, potheads, people who partake in other drugs, or pets. Rent is $350 a month for 1 bedroom in a 5-bedroom house with 2 shared bathrooms and a shared kitchen. Street parking only. Do not waste my time trying to sell me stuff because I'm not going to buy it. If I had the money to buy things from you, I wouldn't be advertising for roommates. Jason posted this message on a Thursday. He figured it was already a terrible day, so he might as well pick that day over any other. By Friday, he had received 37 calls. 37 calls was a lot to deal with, particularly for a person struggling to shower and dress himself every day. Jason was completely overwhelmed. After the 5th call, he decided to implement a system consisting of 5 questions. The answers to these innocuous questions would be used to pick his future roommates. Question 1, what is your name? Question 2, how old are you? Question 3, what is your job? Question 4, what are your hobbies? And question 5, do you mind taking out the trash? Jason was stunned by the answers. Callers number 8 and 12 were both over 40. Caller number 9 stated mowing ball fields and cataloging mailboxes as his hobbies. What did that even mean? Caller number 11 listed turning ballet shoes into wall hangings while also slurring her words. Caller number 14 enthusiastically announced that her hobby was drinking margaritas in plastic glasses while waiting in the unemployment line. Jason let the answering machine take over. By the end of Friday, he had whittled the list down to 4 viable candidates, all of whom he scheduled viewings with on Saturday. That gave him just under 24 hours to clean the house, which had been steadily acquiring a coating of filth since Beth had left. Died was still too strong of a word. He would say that she left. But they would know. He knew they would know. The alarm sounded at 9 a.m. on Saturday, and Jason struggled to awaken. He hadn't been up this early for ages, and his vendor the night before had left him with a ripping headache. He would have to seriously curtail his drinking when his new roommates moved in, or they would send him to AA. No need for that, he thought. He would pull it together. In the kitchen, Jason leaned heavily against the counter. He could do this, he told himself. Interaction with people would be good for him. Maybe if he had replied to the letters and flowers that had poured into his house after the accident, he wouldn't have gotten to this state. Maybe people would have continued to come over and be his friend. But who was he kidding? Their friends were Beth's friends. She was the good one, the friendly one, the one everyone wanted to be around. And now he had pushed even those people away. What a state. He needed a drink. But first, he had a lot of people to see.